So I'm in this apartment that I love, and my roommate and I have always had no odd activity here. Well, I got a fiance, and my fiance is very in touch with what others call supernatural. This will matter later. So he moved in and tension started. My roommate and I are no longer really friends, and some things started happening in the Discord. You know, first like, I swear I turned off that light, or I closed my door and now it's opened. My fiance said he felt like it was a small girl who was mischievous and funny dubbed Junior. So yes, small things like that. So one night my roommate, best friends, was actually over and they were watching a movie, and suddenly my roommate's light turned out. My roommate's friend, let's call him M, ran into my room and asked if I had turned off the light. I said no, and M actually believes in what I and my fiance believes. So we all began talking, and my roommate C began talking smack about Junior, and his light flicked on and off again. We are like, you better stop it, and C just rolled his eyes. Well, M went home, and my fiance and I went to bed. In the morning, I come out, and C is on the couch sleeping. I asked him what the fuck he was doing on the couch, and he replied that he didn't feel safe in his room. I was like, well, you shouldn't have provoked her. He still doesn't believe, and I don't really care because I respect her, and she does cute little things a lot, like opening my closet door repeatedly and opening the bathroom door when my fiance is in there. There are small things here and there, but every time C starts, and on a belief, by being sarcastic, something happens to him. Anyway, I know, not super scary, but I don't disrespect things that are trying to be peaceful. This particular instance was several years ago, back when I used to have a math tutor in high school. On a week, every Friday after school, I'd have a tutoring session at the library by my house. I started at 3:30 and class would let out around 3, so I was often early. Before my session one afternoon, I went to the washroom and noticed a woman go into the last stall. When I exited my stall to wash my hands, I noticed the last stall was vacant, but I also hadn't heard the woman leave. Thinking I was losing my mind, I shook it off and left to meet my tutor. After my session, it was about an hour later, I was walking home when I started to sense that I wasn't alone. It felt as though someone was walking about 5 paces behind me, but I never felt the need to check. Subconsciously, I think I knew it wasn't really someone there. I made it home because I'm a weirdo, stood behind my brother in the garage as he was working at our workbench, trying to freak him out. After not getting the reaction I wanted, my brother, several years older, would take a bit to actually scare him. I entered my house. Upon entering, I started noticing a woman standing in the back corner of each room I entered or passed by. She would just be standing there, motionless and expressionless. For whatever reason, I wasn't actually afraid at the time, but rather curious. I went back downstairs to explain this all to my brother, so he could tell me I was just seeing things. I began explaining this person I kept seeing, and as I began describing her, my brother started to nod and started asking questions about what she looked like. I instantly got goosebumps over my whole body, and a chill went down my spine as he, in great detail, described the exact same woman I had seen all afternoon. I stood there speechless as my brother's face fell, and he asked, "Why do you think I didn't turn around in the garage earlier? I thought it was her." Not that I ever mentioned it to my brother since, but I'm also certain neither of us ever saw her again. I live in NYC, and I'm 14-year-old male. This happened when I was 5, so in my family, something we talked about a lot is a haunting that I had. It's not any bad spirits, just something weird. So the story goes like this. When I was 5, I would always wake up from 12 to 3 a.m. and my mom said when she asked me why, I would say I wanted to play with the boy from upstairs. Mind you, we live in a 2-floor house and I slept on the 2nd floor. So anyways, when I said that the first time, she had put a mic in my room and listened to what I was doing, and I would talk to myself and play. Everything was fine until my dad left and the friend I had started to be more protective. When I say that, I mean my bullies would get hurt or I would survive near-death experiences. Here is where things went south. My uncle had made fun of me for believing that the spirit was real, and he ended up in a car crash, so my mom decided to confront whatever it was and thank it for helping, but it had to stop. So she told it to stop, and we never heard anything from that spirit again. Sorry for the spelling mistakes. I'm on mobile, so I am a very spirit entity sensitive. I am not a clairvoyant or anything, just a thing me and my mom have always had. Last night during my sleep, I encountered an interruption during my dream state, in which a female spirit came to me and spoke that she was determined to make sure I would not succeed in life and that she would be present always to interfere in my happiness. I tried ignoring her, but she was forceful and would touch me in my dreams to direct my sight towards her. It slowly began escalating as she became louder and more aggressive in her tone, and it became too much to bear. I had woke. Now sometimes when I sleep I wake up in a sort of jump, especially if I encounter stressful nightmares or obligations in the morning. It's simply a weird reaction people have noted. When I awoke, it happened in such a fashion. I took a bathroom break and tried going back to bed, but every time I'd begin entering a weary sleep state and she'd appear again and again. Even when attempting to lucid into something else, over numerous attempts to sleep, she'd appear again and again, each time waking me up and kicking me out of my dream state, followed my jump that kicks me awake. Even during my awake state, the environment felt ominous, similar to experiences I had in my childhood of feeling the presence of shadow beings near me. Eventually, I tried a strategy in my dreams in using company to acknowledge her presence and distract her. It worked, and in that window of opportunity, I compartmentalized her into a small corner of my dream state and trapped her there, if that makes sense. And then I proceeded having successful sleep shortly after. As an additional side note, my family is known to be cursed with bad fortune and events surrounding us, and thus I wonder if this spirit lady, manifestation of all of that. She also provided me a name, although I'm not really sure how to spell it. When along the lines of Arath, any advice for future encounters or ways of removing her connection to me? Intense bad mojo was felt whenever I looked at her.